La France. And they almost won it last year, right? They were not that far away, but last night, France once again had a national final from the France Television studio. And the show, again, hosted by Stéphane Bern and Laurence Boccolini. They hosted the 21 edition. There were 12 songs in the running. And in case you didn't watch the whole show, basically those who it's a multi-tier process. I'm not going to all the select the winner and eventual the Eurovision artist. First, the artist performs their song, then received feedback from the juries, right? And then they had a like. That each jury member had an option to like an entry, and it showed up on the screen how many likes they would get. Although this did not, it had no impact on the actual results, at least like the score. Maybe it had some influence on how people voted, but it didn't have actually the points itself. It did not matter. And then we had a first round of voting, just a televote, and they picked 5 songs to go into the super final. And those were Marius, Alvan and Ahez, Elliot, Pauline Chanier, and Soa. And then the 7 remaining acts had another vote where the 10-member panel picked 1 additional song, which was Cyprien Sani. He won the jury vote, so we had a total of 6 songs in the super final. And then in the super final, first each jury member voted, gave their points, and then at the very end they added the televote. But after the televotes came in, nothing changed really in terms of the leader. The winner stayed the same, and it was Alvan and Ahez. And they will go to Eurovision. And that is going to be a big honor, of course, for the band. And we have probably a lot of thoughts about it. I cannot wait to talk this through. I'm gonna give it right back to you, Roy. I mean, did you watch the whole show?
Or
you just watched the highlights?
Oh no! I watched the entire show. I did miss like the start of it, but I watched all of the songs perform at least. Because like in the beginning, I was also watching a TV show that I couldn't miss really on the Dutch TV. So I had like 4 screens on my laptop, and on my big TV, I had like the show, and then I changed it to France 2 because I can have that on my television. But yeah, I watched the entire show and it was really enjoyable. I thought the process was really interesting, but I had the same last year.
Close at least, because they had less super finalists, but other than that, it was the same. Yes.
No, I think they had exactly the same amount.
No, I think they had. I'm pretty sure now you make. I thought they had like only like 4 songs eliminated or something like that. I thought.
Yeah, but then that should be more super finalists, right?
I thought so. I could be wrong. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
I make a question myself.
I basically had the same feeling as last year. As soon as I saw Fulenn being performed, I knew, this is gonna win. Just like I had last year with Voila, I was like, yeah, this should be the song for them. They should win. And ultimately, both juries and televote like agreed on the winner. So I think they made a really good decision. I think it's really a unique song. I don't think any of these songs were potential Eurovision winners. So I think it is really good to go for some representation of some area. In France, it's cool to have the Breton language back again. Like the last time was 1995 or something like that. So it is really cool to have that in Eurovision, and it must feel like people must feel very proud from that region to be represented in Eurovision by France. So yeah, I really agree with the winner, and couldn't be happier, really.
Yes. Please, people, watch my reaction video I posted not that long ago, and I knew immediately that this was my favorite. Like, I think it was the first song I listened to, even in the order, because I think alphabetically. And I was like, this will be hard to beat as my favorite. And sure enough, it won. I've had a really bad run this year in terms of like my favorites. As a matter of fact, there are probably like a handful of national finals where my least favorites won the national finals. And so it was just refreshing to see this one. The juries gave it standing ovations, which already was a good indicator. Okay, they're going to do really well with them. And they got, I think, 9 likes right away. And so I knew, okay, this is a contender, obviously. So I was very relieved. I thought that they came into this very well prepared as well. The staging looked already really, really good. I will say there needs to be some camera work that was a little off, but that is so easily fixable at Eurovision because you really work with the best of the best there. So I'm not even too worried about that part, but that needs to be a little fixing. But I like the energy. I like the idea. I love the feel about it. It just, oh, it was so good. It was so good. And I think, as you said, it's nice to have like a local sound, or at least language, I should say, in the running. It's been a minute, and I'm not going to go saying certainly it's going to win, but I think it's going to do really, really well, because it's a kind of almost niche sound that has a broader appeal. I think people will really gravitate towards that one. It brings like this local sound that is still universally accessible. And I'll bring almost like Ukraine often does that really well, right? And I think France nailed it this year around as well. So I am stoked. And France, the giant, has, well, they're back in this game like nobody's business, when they were just kind of more like just like la la la, kind of going for Eurovision for like God knows how long. It's just refreshing to see that kind of excitement. And yes, this is a fantastic song. I love everything about it. It is, I don't even have the words for it. I'm absolutely in love with this one. Are you worried that this song could potentially get destroyed by international juries, or you think they actually, just like the local juries here in France, they will show some appreciation for it?
I don't know. I felt like last year we had the same thing with Shum, for example, where we were like, oh, are people going to love this if you're not from Ukraine? Because it's very like folky influence. But, you know, it's just a very nicely produced beat. And when you just see him rock it out and you just see them singing it with so much passion, I think that really comes across universally. Yeah, I think that they might do a little less good in the juries compared to the televote. Like, I think the televote will definitely give them more points than the jury does. But I don't think they would completely tank it. I definitely think that they will get a decent result with this song. And yeah, I should also like say I was wrong with the year. It was 96 and not 95. The person in the chat pointed it out. Sorry for that, but hey.
Oh gosh, fake news.
Sorry.
That is okay. Yeah, I didn't remember top of my head what year it was either, but I know it was like mid-90s. So no, and I agree with you. I know we're gonna make the comparison to Shum because it's not sound-wise the same, but it just has more like a local sound to it. And Shum didn't do quite as well with the juries. It didn't completely tank, but considering they got a great second place with the televoters and only 5th overall, you know, the jury certainly brought it down a little. I could see something happening here with France in a similar fashion, but I do think actually this has a pretty good chance on doing a little better with the juries as well. You never know, you never know, but I do think they have a really, really good shot at this. In terms of the lineup, was there another song you thought that is great, this is overlooked, or what were your other favorites in the French lineup?
Going into it, my two favorites on the studio version were Téléphone, because it was like the deep house song, but I knew that would probably not work live because, you know, it's really tough to pull that kind of song off live, but it was super mellow, very nice to listen to. And I also really like Madame, which also didn't make it to the final 6. Was a bit surprised by that, to be honest, but the others were also really good that made it to the top 6. Those are really my two standout favorites going into it, and I think Fulenn was like my 3rd or 4th. From the top 6, I really liked Nuit Pauline, which might surprise you, but I really quite enjoyed that song. Yeah, those are really my favorites, but I definitely think like Fulenn really just stepped it up quite a notch and like was definitely leapfrogging the rest for me.
Yeah, so I will say I think that the top 6 chosen were probably, France got it right. I think those were the songs that really, for the most part, actually, there's maybe one I may not quite agree with. But other than that, I thought it was a great selection. Out of the ones disqualified immediately, I know that wouldn't work for most people. I had a soft spot for Joanne's Madame, but I get why this is a little bit too old-fashioned. Yeah. I totally understand it, but I really enjoyed it. But in terms of the super finalists, even though Alvan Ahez head and shoulders above the rest to me, my second favorite is also Pauline. I knew it, Pauline. I love it. I love it. This is going to be my playlist for a very long time, and I hope it's going to chart in France because it's such it's like 80s retro nostalgic sound to it, but it still kind of works now, and it just has so much personality. And you didn't think, I was like, oh, people are not going to like this one, right? It's just a mad song. And then all of a sudden it comes second in the televote and second overall, right? Yes. So absolutely deserved. I am so happy. France and I agree a lot in terms of music taste. So I love Pauline, and I can't get enough of it. Now, some people in the chat also brought up Soa. That was one of the fan favorites here within the Eurovision bubble. Do you think, I mean, they got a third place, which is still fantastic. I think this sounds about right to me. Do you think that should have been higher, or you didn't quite get the hype on this one?
Yeah, I got it that people really liked it, but to me it felt a bit like a song that belonged more between like 2014 and 2017-ish. Like then it would have been perfectly suited for Eurovision. I think now it was a bit too dated, is maybe a bit too harsh of a word, or maybe too junior-y perhaps. I didn't fully buy into the hype, but they performed it really, really well, and I definitely think they deserve like at least a top 4 finish. Like they performed insanely well, and like with Nui Pauline and Soa coming second and third, it really shows to the French artists like, yo, you can send in a very diverse song next year and do well with it, and that is so awesome because we might have a super diverse selection again next year, and that's what I'm all about, really. So
I love,
excited.
I love what you just said because you absolutely nailed it. I think it just shows how diverse the lineup was. It's even this, just look at the super finalists overall, right? You have the Fulenn, then you have Soa, but then you have this very old-fashioned French ballad by Marius, I mean. And it just really just has this diversity. Like any song, if it comes together well, can do well. So I think France is on the right track. And I know that France is going to do well this year. Top 10, I mean, I would be shocked if they're not going to be in the top 10 in Turin. And just keep what you're doing. Even if you have like an off year, that'll always happen. Sweden has off years. You know what I mean? So don't let that discourage you. You're on the right track. So I'm very, very happy with France. Any questions about France in the chat at ESC United? I would love for the this to inspire the UK to send songs in Welsh or Scottish Gaelic. Do you think that would be something that the UK should explore?
I mean, it would have been cool at least for like one try, or I don't know.
Can't go any lower, right?
Exactly. Like they have to try something. I wouldn't be mad if they sent something like that, and I don't think a lot of people would be mad about it either. Like it's cool to have some diversity. We're all for diversity, I guess. I just want to listen to as much genres and as much different type of music as possible at Eurovision. So keep them coming. Do it.
Yep. I agree. I think last year in particular, the results were so amazing because I know I sound like a broken record, but 4 out of the top 5 songs were not in English. So you can do really well at the contest if your song is good. Don't listen to the whole, well, you need to English in order to do well. And that is not for me to saying you shouldn't sing in English at all, because, you know, I believe in artistic freedom. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, sing that. But the thought process of you have to, I don't barely speak the language, but I have to sing in it in order to do well, I think throw that out of the window and never think about it again. It couldn't be further from the truth. And that is the most exciting part for me. Vaco is actually saying, I hated Nui Pauline and then I joined the hype train. The live performance was amazing. She's visually striking. I mean, I love the song from the get-go, but I also listen and I'm like, well, people are not going to get this one. I saw it in like some rankings like at the bottom, but it's just the way she performed, she demanded your attention. And it was just like, wow, I thought she just did it. It was visually just so striking, as you said. So I'm absolutely interested. Thomas is asking you, Roy, could Fulenn end up in your final top 10? I mean, it's a little too early, but do you think it's a contender potentially?
They are currently. So, yeah, perhaps if the rest don't deliver, then they will definitely remain there. But usually my top quite changes from when we have all the songs to when we get to Eurovision, because you get to really listen to the songs, because now you just... For me, I listen to the song when they win, and then just don't listen to it until we get to the point where we have all the songs. Then I start to really listen to all the songs and really make up my mind. I definitely think Fulenn could end up being there, but it just really depends on how the next few like weeks or months even will be for me. But yeah, they definitely have a shot at it.
Yeah. A couple more questions here. Do you think the staging needs to be changed in any way? MS London is asking. I said earlier, and I still stick to that, I like most about it. I like how the singers didn't just relocate on the stage and all of that stuff, and they stand together and create such a contrast with the guy who goes all crazy and they're all serious, right? They're just like, da, 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 da. I love that. I love the staging with the ramps and all that stuff and the smoke. All I will say is, camera work needs a lot of fixing. I think it would be much cooler that you don't even see the girls moving. You just see them. Oh.
Yes. And this is the moment where Matt's internet cuts out. So now I'm the only one.
Hello, are you still there? I'm back. Yes, I'm having internet issues in my new place, so forgive me. But the last thing, that's the point I was trying to say is camera work. That is what needs a lot of fixing. I don't know what the last thing you heard, but I said, you know, have like when as the girls walking around front of stage, just don't even see them walking around, just have the shot like, oh, no, they're right there. It could be such a cool, intense moment. So that is what I would fix in terms of staging. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think you nail it. I really enjoyed what they already did, and they can really amplify that. We now know the staging design of what it will be like in Turin, with like the higher platform, and you have like the waterfall coming, and you have like a little ramp going down. They could perfectly use that for their live performance in Turin. And the most fixable thing was really the camera angles. I thought that they were a bit off sometimes, and they felt a little bit amateurish at some point. So they really need to work on that a little bit. But overall, I think the direction was really good. They just need to iron it all out and just make sure the camera angles are on point. And I think they're pretty much good to go with that.
Yep, I think so as well. Eurofan SF is asking, do you think Marius was too like Barbara last year and hurt him, especially in staging? Because his vocals were great. Do you think that was ultimately, do you feel it was too close to Barbara, or just that's not it? What do you think, Roy?
No, I mean, I get that you think that, but I think that this song was just a bit more simple than what Barbara did instrumentally. He was great vocally, but for me there was a lot of you know, instrumentals missing, because they could have done a way better job at enhancing his pretty voice and really making sure that the emotions came across better. Because now it was just a piano ballad, and he sang to it really greatly. But they could have done so much more to really enhance the song. So I get perhaps what you're saying, because the staging was a little bit similar, but you know, a ballad will always be kind of staged in that way, I guess.
What can you do, right? You're supposed to have a hamster wheel. It's
just headbang all the way. Yeah.
Voila.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. I mean, the thing that these two songs have in common is what we perceive as a French ballad chanson kind of song, and I think that's the extent of it. I think Voila was just a whole lot more alive and visually more stunning, and had a lot more varieties in the song. Marius sang it well. He was very intense, his facial expressions. I think he should have probably lit up a little more. I just think melodically, it is just a little bit more on the heavy side, and even more old-fashioned, I guess. I think Voila was a little bit more accessible to a lot of people, and I feel the same way. And this is not to diss the song, because Marius, I actually really liked that song as well. But it was just not quite at the same level, I think, that Barbara's song was. So that is definitely how I interpret it.